Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, The Glammed Rebel. I hope everyone's having a good day. Please like, comment, and subscribe for daily updates. B&B, exploring the Forrester family's hidden secrets. An in-depth narrative exploration of the Forrester family, its tangled loyalties, quiet betrayals, inherited wounds, and the secrets that shaped a dynasty. This long-form piece weaves chronology, character study, and thematic analysis into a single portrait of a family that looks flawless on the runway and fractured behind closed doors. Opening, a house built on fabric and secrets. Forrester Creation sits like a palace of silk and shadow on the Pacific coast, an aesthetic triumph, a commercial powerhouse, and the living room where the Forrester family's private dramas are repeatedly staged. The company is a public face for artistry and elegance, but the family that runs it carries scars that time, stitches, and wealth have not been able to conceal. The drama is a story about inheritance, not only of talent and title, but also of loyalties, betrayals, shame, and the small lies that metastasize into family legend. This article is not a catalog of episode recaps. It is a thematic excavation. We'll move through foundational myths, the origins of Eric and Stephanie's rule, trace the bloodlines and the marriages that did and did not bind, and then pry at the family's long-running secrets, paternity mysteries, secret affairs, thefts of trust, and the hush-hush choices that redirected careers and destinies. We'll also look at how the public business of fashion has been shaped by the private business of family survival. This chapter is a long read because the Forrester story is long, decades of romance and rivalry, and a few generations of people who think clothing can fix what the heart can't. Part 1, Roots, Eric, Stephanie, and the Architecture of Power. To understand the present family, you must begin with the family past. Eric and Stephanie Forrester are the gravitational center. In narrative terms, they function as origin figures, not perfect, sometimes cruel, occasionally saintly, whose decisions established the rules the children inherited. Stephanie's unyielding determination and Eric's imaginative nature forged a paradoxical system of governance that viewed love as discipline and art as empire. Their marriage produced both a corporate dynasty and a stage for emotional theater. The elder Forrester's marriage established three central rules that would haunt the next generation. 1. Loyalty is currency. Stephanie rewarded obedience and punished dissent. Alliances were measured in favors and denials. 2. Reputation matters more than truth. Secrets were often kept to preserve the house's public image. 3. Design is identity. For the Forresters, creative output was a form of self-definition, a way to transform personal pain into commercial glory. Using these rules, the younger Forresters learned how to negotiate love and power. Both strengths and weaknesses were handed down. The family script included both brilliance and compulsive self-justification. The sibling fault lines. Eric and Stephanie's children, biologically and by marriage, became vectors for these inherited tendencies. Rivalries among siblings took shape along predictable lines: the artist who wanted freedom, the heir who wanted control, and the outsider who wanted acceptance. Sibling loyalty often lasted only as long as advantage did. The dynamics between biological children and those who married into the family created further fissures. Bloodline mattered in the way succession was imagined, even if marriage rewrote realities. Part 2, Bloodlines and Legalities. Who is Forrester, and who is not? Dynastic families are obsessed with lineage because it determines legitimacy. In romance dramas, the word legitimate carries a different gravity. It shapes who inherits the company, who sits at the head table, and who can call the estate their own. For the Forresters, paternity and the stakes of bloodline are recurring motifs. Several secrets over the years have questioned parentage and implied that identity itself is less stable than it appears. Paternity mysteries and their social cost. Paternity questions are rarely just about biology in the Forrester world. They are about narrative control. When a character's parentage is uncertain, they are suspended in a limbo, the family's affection becomes conditional, and the company's succession becomes contested. Secret adoptions, off-screen affairs, and whispered doubts have lingered for years, shaping choices and breeding suspicion. The human cost of this instability is often ignored. Characters caught in paternity debates experience shame, identity crises, and a compulsion to prove themselves. They compensate with ambition, self-sabotage, or vindictive behavior. Over time, those coping strategies become instinctive, and this instinctiveness transforms into a lasting legacy. Legitimacy in corporate terms. Forrester Creations is a company with legal structures that sometimes collide with romantic ones. Who runs the house is rarely a purely corporate decision, it is a social performance. Boards, shareholders, and legal frameworks exist, but the viewers watch the social theater, raises, handovers, and boardroom transitions that are driven as much by emotion as by fiduciary duty. That tension, between corporate prudence and family drama, creates opportunities for manipulation. Secrets about inheritance or parental rights become tools in corporate warfare, used to alter board votes, oust rivals, and reassert control. Part 3, The Lover's Ledger, Affairs, Alliances, and Affairs of State. If the Forrester family were a ledger, romance would be the most audited line item. Affairs ripple outward, lovers become allies, betrayals become boardroom maneuvers, and marriage vows are rewritten as strategic alignments. The pattern of serial relationships. Many Forresters have repeated the same romantic mistakes. Patterns repeat: the rebound marriage to an intimate enemy, the marriage for convenience, and the rekindled passion that upends both personal and professional stability. These recurring scripts tell us something about family psychology, emotional short-term thinking, fear of abandonment, and a taste for dramatic rescue. Hidden affairs and the art of secrecy. Secrets surrounding affairs have a profound impact. Affairs are not simply private moral failures, they are political acts. Concealed romances undermine trust, generate blackmail possibilities, and change succession lines. The Forresters' tendency to compartmentalize, to keep private lives off the books, produces fragile houses of cards. When the cards fall, the collapse is spectacular because the stakes are high, careers, reputations, and sometimes children are at risk. Part 4, Sins of Commission and Omission, Theft, Deception, and Loyalty. Families of power rarely collapse because of one catastrophic sin. Instead, they erode through 1,000 small transgressions, daily bargains, and deferred admissions. The Forresters are no exception. A culture of omission, I won't tell if you don't, becomes structural. Financial maneuvers and creative theft. Stealing designs, poaching talent, and leaking confidential lines can be fatal inside a couture firm. But in the Forrester universe, creative theft also has moral valence. Is copying a betrayal worse than selling out? The answer depends on who you ask. When a Forrester accuses another of theft, it's rarely only about money, it's about identity, legacy, and who is entitled to claim the family narrative. Cover-ups and their cost. Cover-ups demand more lies. When a minor transgression is hidden, it creates leverage that can later be used to extract further silence. A lie is the slow-acting toxin that poisons family relations. The more the Forresters conceal, the less they can trust the truth when it finally arrives. Part 5, The Women and the Power They Wield. Women in the Forrester saga are not supporting actors. They are power centers, designers, matriarchs, and strategists. Whether born Forrester or married into the house, women shape the company's creative direction and the family's moral code. Matriarchal designs, Stephanie and her legacy. Stephanie's influence cannot be overstated. Her standards, her codes, and her punishments became the family grammar. She insisted upon appearances, composure, and the preservation of family myth. That insistence produced both strength and cruelty. Women who followed her tried to emulate her control, even when they resented it. Rivals who became allies. Female alliances in the Forrester world are complicated. Rivalry between style houses, between love interests, and between mothers and daughters can evolve into uneasy alliances. That complexity is instructive. Women form pacts when it suits their interest and betray each other when personal survival demands it. Those betrayals are never purely personal, they are strategic. Outsiders who transformed the house. An outsider who marries into the family often becomes a fulcrum. They bring fresh talent, new markets, and scandalous energy. The role of the outsider woman who reshapes Forrester Creations shows that the house is not an immutable organism, it's porous, and its culture can shift quickly if charismatic people push hard enough. Part 6, The Children, Inherited Trauma and the Price of Fame. Growing up in a dynasty of beauty and power introduces unusual pressures. Children of the Forresters often become internalized critics or contrarians. They are raised to shine but also to carry family burdens. The burden of expectation. Some children internalize the expectation to be brilliant, others rebel. The result is a predictable churn of ambition, heirs resenting the mantle, prodigies seeking independence, and the occasional child whose creative impulses deviate so far from family orthodoxy that they become pariahs. Trauma passed through generations. Trauma doesn't evaporate with wealth. It is insulated, yes, but also carried. Secrets become heirlooms, silence about a crime, a hidden affair, or a violent confrontation lingers. Those silences wound later generations who inherit the consequences without knowing the causes. Part 7, Public Image, Private Rot, Reputation Management. For a fashion house, public image is commercial capital. Forresters invest heavily in image control, media relationships, and curated narratives. But image management is also moral management, convincing the public that the family is civilized, stable, and refined allows them to keep selling the fantasy. PR is a weapon. Public relations is not neutral. In the Forrester story, PR conceals scandals, cultivates empathy, and restores reputations. It is the modern estate lawyer. It preserves the family by shaping the narrative. This process raises ethical questions about accountability. When PR wins, truth loses. The cost of living in a fishbowl. Living under constant scrutiny distorts behavior. Characters become performative, optimizing their choices for the cameras. Performative virtue can hide genuine ugliness, and performative guilt can be mistaken for repentance. Both are dangerous. Part 8, Climactic Secrets, Revelations that Reshaped the House. Over the decades, several revelations have functioned as turning points: paternity reveals, admissions of theft, confessions about past abuse, and disclosures of secret relationships. Each had ripple effects that redrew alliances and redirected the business. The paternity reveal is a narrative pivot. Whenever a paternity reveal occurs, it does three things: it unsettles succession, shames a parent, and forces characters to reevaluate identity. The event is dramatic because it zooms in on the question of belonging. In a culture that prizes bloodline, the reveal destabilizes the foundation. Confession scenes and their aftermath. Confessions are moral checkpoints. Those that are staged publicly, whether in courtrooms or press conferences, force the family to reckon, at least performatively. But performative reckoning is not the same as actual change. Often, confessions lead to short-term catharsis followed by long-term bargaining. Part 9, Rival Houses and the External Pressures. The Forrester family is not an isolated entity. Rival fashion houses, media conglomerates, and romantic rivals all exert pressure. External enemies can be mirrors, revealing family weaknesses as much as they threaten assets. Corporate rivalries as catalysts. Business competition has often amplified personal grudges. Rivals exploit family secrets or use the press to rile shareholders. In many plotlines, corporate sabotage acts as shorthand for revenge. Those external pressures accelerate internal fractures by introducing new stakes. Love triangles that became wars. Romantic competition sometimes escalates into public feuds. When lovers cross into corporate domains, the personal becomes political. These escalations are instructive because they reveal how easily the private and the professional merge in family-run empires. Part 10, Redemption, Repentance, and the Limits of Forgiveness. Soap opera storytelling loves cycles of sin and redemption. The Forrester saga is no exception. But forgiveness in this world often follows a script: confession, dramatic gesture, partial reconciliation, and then a cliffhanger that ensures the problem is not entirely resolved. The performance of redemption. Genuine repentance is rare. More common is the performance of repentance: heartfelt speeches, charitable acts, and public displays of contrition. These sometimes hold, sometimes fail. When they fail, it's usually because no structural change accompanied the performance. Can a family heal? Healing requires truth-telling, accountability, and structural change, factors the Forrester family historically resists. Their wealth insulates them from consequences, and their pride resists admitting systemic faults. That makes permanent healing unlikely, but not impossible. Chance encounters, generational shifts, or external crises can sometimes create conditions for real change. Epilogue: Why secrets matter beyond gossip. Why excavate these secrets? Because they tell us how power reproduces itself, how wealth can shield dysfunction, and how families navigate, often clumsily, the collision of love and legacy. The Forrester family's secrets are not just gossip fodder. They are lessons in human organization, the ways we build stories to justify ourselves, the choices we make to secure status, and the costs we defer onto those who follow. This family is a mirror for any institution where art and commerce meet, where private motivations leak into public consequences, and where the next generation inherits both the trophies and the fractures of the past. The house will continue to design dresses, stage runway shows, and release seasonal collections. Meanwhile, the quieter work will persist, the negotiations, the apologies, and the betrayals that never stop reshaping who the Forresters are. If the house serves as a palace, it also serves as a laboratory where individuals explore the limits of loyalty and ambition. In that lab, secrets are the reagent that produces both beauty and ruin. Appendix: Suggested episode arcs and character studies, for writers and fans. For anyone wanting to dramatize these themes more explicitly, here are suggested episode arcs and character-focused vignettes that draw directly from the structural secrets discussed above. 1. The Heirloom File. Premise: an old file with incriminating paperwork surfaces, revealing a decades-old hush payment that reshaped a marriage. Conflict: siblings are forced to decide whether to bury the file or expose the truth. Theme: the trade-off between reputation and truth. 2. The Outsider's Rebellion. Premise: a non-Forrester designer's radical new line threatens the house's identity and exposes internal conservatism. Conflict: the outsider's instigation of change ignites family anxieties. Theme: change versus legacy. 3. The Paternity Trial. Premise: emergent DNA evidence challenges assumed parentage. Conflict: succession, affection, and a career are at stake, legal and emotional battles ensue. Theme: identity as social construction. 4. The Public Confession. Premise: a beloved family member confesses to a long-hidden betrayal during a live broadcast. Conflict: public fallout threatens commercial partners and personal ties. Theme: performance versus sincerity. 5. The Generation Gap. Premise: young Forrester heirs openly defy the family's traditions and values. Conflict: boardroom clashes and disinheritance threats escalate. Theme: evolution of institutions in modernity. Author's note: this piece was written as a thematic, narrative examination of a fictional dynasty and is meant to capture the emotional geometry of a family that has been both blessed and cursed by fame. The Forrester story is fundamentally about people attempting to make themselves whole in a system that rewards illusion. Secrets are part of that system because secrecy often seems, in the moment, like the cheapest route to survival. But secrets cost. They compound. And they ultimately produce consequences that no couture can mask. You are welcome to share any video requests in the comments. I will make a video about it. Stay connected with the Glammed Rebel for all the latest updates, spoilers, and deep dive recaps. See you in the next video. Stay safe and healthy. May God keep you safe. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell button for daily updates.